Well, hello everyone. This is video that we shot on September 2nd. And the topic of this video is the drought that Texas is currently engaged in. And as this map shows that you can see here, this is a current map of the drought in Texas. You can see the severity varies quite a bit across the state. But something around 80% of the state is involved in some stage of a drought. Now, coming up here in a moment, I'm going to contrast the current drought with that which we underwent in 2011, which by anyone's reckoning is much more severe drought. So here's what the map looked like in 2011. Certainly the worst drought that I've ever witnessed or ever lived close to. And so the drought we're undergoing today is nothing like that. The drought is much milder, but nevertheless it's very real and it's having a real impact. So what I decided to do is take the drone up in this video, and we're going to fly over the pastures where we currently have cattle. And we'll begin with the pasture we call the middle pasture. And this is a pasture where within the last 20 days I have dumped a bunch of fertilizer. So you can see that there's a green tint to this pasture, and there you can also see quite a bit of brown out here. So we've been short rainfall in July and August. July is typically a dry month. August is untypically this year a very dry month. So we received something around 1 inch of rain in August, perhaps about that same amount in the month of July. So we're at a very substantial moisture deficit considering this is the height of the growing season, or these months are. And so we are in a situation where we are short on grass, and we only have around 25% of our winter hay needs met. So something has to give in the number of animals we have on the place, or we hope to get some additional rain this year. So what I'm hoping this video turns out to be is a pre-post, with this being the pre, and that I will follow this up with a after the rainfall video in not too many days. So we're coming up on the pond, the only pond that's in this pasture for livestock water. And this pond has been dry since July. And you'll see it's still, it's bone dry. You see the area around the pond is just brown. And indeed, if you look closely, you can see that there are some plants beginning to spring up and grow in the bottom of this pond. So the last time this pond went dry was in 2011. And while it was dry, I did dig it out some. It could stand to be dug out again. Now we're flying across what we call the north pasture, which is a hay pasture. It's about 25 to 30 acres. And we've not been able to put up hay here, or at least, I guess year to date, we've rolled up 44 bales here, versus in a typical year, we'd roll up something like 250. And so we've had to use this hayfield for grazing, just to tide us over, as you will. So we really desperately need to get more hay. There you can see in the bottom left corner right now that a little bit of hay that we have put up, and that's high quality second cutting hay, the best hay that we have on the place at the moment. So I'm going to come up here and we're going to fly out to the west pasture and have a look there. So right here in northwest Madison County, we are in a moderate drought stage. And just to the northwest of us, they're in a severe drought stage, which is a worst stage of drought. And then to the southeast, not that far away, say 35, 40 miles, there's no drought at all. So we're in an area where, depending on what direction you drive and how far you travel, the conditions change dramatically. But we're not the most unfortunate people in this state, that's for sure. Indeed, there are many areas in the state that are worse off than we are. And still, the effect of the drought on us is fairly negative in terms of the amount of grass we have available for cattle, and certainly the amount of hay we're going to have available this winter. Now, as we fly out here in this west pasture, you'll see off to the top right of the screen a field that looks greener, and that's our neighbor's hay field, where we take the hay off of that field every year, and we've already hayed that field twice. Now, the yields are way down compared to historical yields. So we're something probably around 60–65% of the yields we would typically get off of those fields. There have been no cattle out there, so it's strictly an effect of the lower rainfall. Our fertilizer plan, our fertilizer schedule has been the same as we have applied in past years. And so typical year we would like to get 500 bales, expect to get about 500 bales off that field. And so far this year we're well under half that number. Okay, so here you can see again a lot of brown, a little bit of green in this west pasture. This pasture does have more grass than the others, so the cattle out here are not short of grass really. There's a quality issue with the grass they do have. In other words, there's a lot of brown grass out there, which is clearly not growing but is standing grass. And so they're not hurting for something to eat. It's just the quality of what's available there. So we're coming up on the pond that waters this particular pasture. And this pond also went dry in 2011. You'll see here it's not dry on September 2nd. However, you can also witness that it's down substantially. So you can actually see a dirt ridge out in the middle of it there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is fly over to the east pasture, which is the last pasture where we have cattle out today. And this pasture is probably the worst in terms of grass availability and also grass quality. And so this pasture has no improved grasses. This is primarily Bahia grass, whereas the other pastures we've looked at are Tifton 85 Bermuda grass, a hybrid Bermuda grass that's very drought hardy and very productive when it rains. You can see a difference in color as we cross over our driveway here from kind of green to mostly brown. On the other hand, the water hole in this pasture is in the best shape of the water holes in any of our pastures that have cattle in them. So we're going to fly back up now towards the pasture where we started and fly up through these senderas, and you can see it's pretty brown. It's short and it is brown. On the other hand, the trees are not dying. The trees are still green. They're not losing a lot of leaves. So if this would be 2011, we'd see a lot of trees that are losing their leaves. Indeed, we'd start to see trees that are dying. And in fact, we still have trees that died in that drought that we are yet to clean up. It's a massive undertaking to try to clean up the thousands of trees that died during that drought. So this is a look at the conditions as they exist on September 2nd. Now, I'm actually doing this recording on the 11th of September, so I have the advantage of backward looking, and I know what's transpired in the intervening days. And indeed, we have received some rainfall, so there's going to be a follow-up video that will show you what things looked like yesterday. Now, when I took the video yesterday, we had not had the benefit of rainfall that we received this morning on the 11th. So this morning we received about 1.35 inches that will not be accounted for in the video that we're going to put up after this one. So we are being blessed right now with some rainfall and some cooler conditions that will allow this grass to recoup a little bit. So we're going to head back to the shop and land this thing, and I'm going to follow this video up with a video on September 10th. So it's going to be 8 days after this video was taken. And in those intervening 8 days, there will be rainfall that's totaled around 1.8 inches. So we'll see if you can detect the difference in moisture conditions, the color of the grass, the color of the landscape, and see if you can detect the degree to which conditions may have improved. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you take time to watch the follow-up video, because I do want to convey a tone of optimism here. If you're in this business, this ranching business, you better be an optimist. If you're a pessimist, you're going to have a lot of bad days. So we try to live our lives optimistically, and oftentimes when you go with that attitude, you'll find things that make you happy. And in this VIX video, you're going to see some of that. So stay tuned and watch the next video. Thanks for watching.